Teodoro Catalan now, as for example, as teacher Oscar said already. I am from Coyuca de Benitez. I am from Guerrero, but I currently live in Coyuca de Benitez. So, and but I also I was born in a community. I wasn't born here in this city. I was born very up in the mountains. Honestly, I was born in the mountains in a very small community in Guerrero. So my town name is Tepetixla. It's not really Coyuca de Benitez. I am living here since 9 years ago. Now, where I come from, I come from, I don't know where I come from really, because I spent too many years in the US. When I went to live in the US, I was 70 years old. And then when I come back to Mexico, I was almost 34 years old. So sometimes I have like a double thoughts, because I feel like, of course, I was born in Mexico, but sometimes I feel like a little bit like in the US, because I made myself there. I grew up there. I became a man in the United States. So, and culture affects us, affects your behavior, affects your way of thinking. So sometimes you feel like you're ambivalent. If you know what ambivalent is, it's like you don't know if you are like 100% Mexican or you are like a little bit of American, because eventually you get affected by living in for a long time in a country. So what do I do? I mean, Oscar already mentioned what do I do. I teach English, and I've been teaching English since 2018 professionally. I was teaching English before, but not professionally. So I started teaching English professionally since 2018 after I studied in the FALE, the Faculty of Languages in Acapulco. Then I also study in other universities online. So I continue learning, I continue improving myself. And that's what I do really. So the next question is what I am doing here. Well, here I'm here to talk again. I'm here to talk about my story as a person, as a teacher, also as a citizen, because as a citizen from Mexico, I went to live to a different country where I wasn't a citizen. So I want to talk about that experience, about living in a place where you don't belong to. Okay, but I like to know in the chat, I want you to tell me, where are you from, guys? I want you to make comments in the chat before I continue. Can you make comments in the chat? Any one of you had any questions about, can you tell us where are you from? Or where are you watching us? Where are you watching us from? Can you tell us where are you from? Hello? Feel free to comment in the chat. Tell us where are you from? Where are you listening to us? Or where are you watching us from? Can you make comments if you want to? Because we want to know where are you from? Mexico State. Okay, Lara Jacobo is from Mexico State. Someone else? Mexico City. Okay, someone else want to comment? Where are you watching us from? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, as you can see in my presentation, this is one of the first picture that I had for the first time that I got to US. This is my first winter, and I want to make a question, guys. Do you how old do you think I was? Can you look at the picture and tell me how old do you think I was when I took this picture? Can you guess? Can you give a guess? 19. Okay, Lara Jacobo says 19. Okay, someone else?
Teacher, I think that there is a person waiting for you in the, I mean, she wants to listen to you, but she's waiting for you. I mean, I'm talking about the waiting room.
Okay. Someone else wants to comment? Okay, thank you guys. Well, Laura Sejaco, yeah, that's true. I was 19 years old. So you are correct. I was 19 years old. When I went to the US, I was 17. And by the time I took this picture in the second winter on my state in the United States, this picture was taken by one of my friends. His name is Gilberto Collazo. I hope He can see this because he has been one of my best friends for many, many years. He was one of my, not only my first, but also my best friend in the US. He is from Guadalajara, Jalisco. In case that you know, his name is Berto Collazo. He's from Guadalajara, Jalisco, and he took this picture. Okay. I had one more question. What do you think about this question? Did I wanted to go to US? What do you think, guys? Do you think I wanted to go to US? What do you think? Make some comments. The question is, did I wanted to go to the US? What do you think, guys? Do you think I wanted to go? Maybe. Okay, Lara Escobar says maybe. Okay, someone else? Someone else want to comment? Feel free, guys. I mean, feel free to make questions or to make comments, because the idea is to have like an interaction in between among us, so we can have like a more lively conversation. Well, no, I didn't want to go to the US. Honestly, I didn't want to go because in 1988, I mean, the situation back here in Guerrero, it was, from economical point of view, it was a very bad situation. And honestly, I didn't want to go. I went to live in the US, you know, by as everyone, as many people go to the US. Many people go to the US because the bad economic conditions in Mexico. So that was the reason that I went to the US, not because I wanted, honestly. So I never wanted to go to the US. I end up there because of the economical situation. That was the main reason. Okay. The next question is, who did I live with? Who do you think I live with? Because many people, when they go to US, usually they live with friends, they live with people from the same community, and very few of us have the chance to live with other people, or maybe with people from other countries. Who do you think I live with when I got to the US for the first time? Can you guess, or can you make a comment? Who did I live with when I got to the US? Anyone? Any comments? Who did I live with? It's like, ¿con quién viví cuando estaba allá? Who did I live with? In case that some of you don't catch the question. No? Any comments? Okay. Friends, Mexican people in the same situation. Yeah. Yeah, Mexican people say, yeah. Yeah, that's what it happens when we go to the US. Normally, we end up living with people in the same situation because a lot of us go to the US because of the same reasons. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. So yeah, I live with So I live with people from the same community, from the same place, people that were in my same situation, and that's what I end up living with people in the same situation. But also I live with my father because my father was already living there. So he went to live to the US in 1986, I'm sorry, 4 years before I went to the US. What were my first impressions? What do you think about my first impression? Because we had different impressions. We don't have the same impressions when we go to US. A lot of times it depends on the context where you come from. So it depends on your situation, because you see or you understand things according to your previous or to your actual situation, that when you go to a different country. What do you think were my first impression? Because context affects our visions, our how we understand realities. Can you guess? Can you make comments? Anyone? Which kind of place is this? Okay, this is a town, a very small town in Farmersville, California. That's the name of the town, Farmersville, California. This is a very beautiful town. It's a small town in the middle of in the San Joaquin Valley. Most of the population here, like 80 or 90%, are Mexican people. So it doesn't look really like an American town or American city. It looks more like a Mexican town. With the strangers, Patrirosa, with the strangers? No, not really. I mean, I never live with strangers. I never live with strangers. I live with people from the same community. People, actually, I live with two guys that were my same age. Two guys that went to the United States for the same reason as me. Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, when back to the question, what was my first question? When my case, my first expression were affected by my situation because the small community that I come from, it was a very small community. I remember back then that we only had one phone for the whole community. So when you wanted to make a phone call back then in 1998, 1999, around that time, so you had to make a line, you had to make a queue in order to make a phone call. So it was very difficult. Yes. Yes. Okay. I had no access on how to give access to the room people. So maybe someone else that is in charge because I can't see anything from here. Okay, let's continue. What it means to be poor, guys? What is your idea of to being poor? The next question is what it means to be poor, because a lot of times poorness is one of the reasons. But before I give my opinion about poorness or about being poor, can you tell us? Can you make a comment to tell us what is your idea about being poor? Because sometimes a lot of the world back in that time, 1990s, so poorness was the main reason. So, but what is your idea about being poor? Do you have any idea? How do you understand poorness in Mexico? Can you guys make a comment? Okay, that even working you can earn enough money to survive. Yeah, that's true. That's totally 100% true. I remember that in that time, actually we were owners of the coffee plantations, and coffee at that time it was worth like 8 pesos. A container of coffee was worth 8 pesos. So a worker could make like 5 pesos a day. So yeah, that's right. We couldn't make not even enough money to survive, not even a day, or to have a good quality of life. Yeah, you can have good quality of life. Yeah, definitely yes. You can have a good quality of life because back that time we have a lot of produce in the town where I come from. We had corn, we had coffee, we had rice, we had beans. But the problem was that we were not able to bring our produce to the city. In that time, when I left the U.S., it took us 3 hours, a minimum of 3 hours to get to the closest city. So it was very difficult to bring your produce to the city to make money. Even if you produce a lot of produce, it was very difficult to bring your produce and make money. Yeah. Okay. Now the next question is, how long did I stay in the U.S.? Do you have any idea? Can you make comments? How long did I stay? Like how many years did I stay in the U.S.? You can make comments. 6 years. Okay. 4. Someone else? All right. Well, no, actually, I spent 19 years in the US. I stood there 19 years. Yes. Okay. So let's continue. Now let's talk about being in the US. So the next question is, where did I go? Where do you think I go? Because being in the US for 19 years, it means like I went to a lot of places. Where do you think did I go to in the US? Can you make guess? Do you know cities? Do you know names or cities in the US? Cities that you can name and say, okay, you went to this city or you went to this state or whatever. Can you name a city in the US? Texas? Yeah, no, I never went to Texas. New York? Yeah, I went once. I went once to New York. Any other city that you can name or mention? New Mexico? Yes, I went to New Mexico once when I was going to Las Vegas because I went to Los Casinos one time. So I had to pass Los Angeles. Yes, I went a couple of times to Los Angeles. Hollywood. No, I never went to Hollywood, even though that I went to Los Angeles, but I never went to Hollywood. When I was living there, I wasn't interested in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Can you mention any other cities? Any other states, cities or state? California, Boston. No, I never went to Boston. I live in California for 7 years. So I know a lot of cities in California. Washington, yes, I went to Washington. There are two Washingtons. There is Washington State and there is Washington, D.C. Washington State is in the West Coast, and Washington, D.C. is in the East Coast. When you are in North Carolina, you can go up north, and like 5 or 6 hours, there is Washington State. I'm sorry, Washington, D.C. Washington State is when you live, when you are in California, you pass Oregon, and then the next state is Washington, close to Canada. New Orleans, no, I never went to New Orleans. But Washington State, yes, and Washington, D.C., yes. So I went to the last town that I went in Washington State is, the name of the town was Wenatchee, Washington, it's close to Canada. Okay, what did I do there? What do you think I did there when I went to those places? Now, can you guess, make comments, whatever comment you want to make, a word, a simple word, so we can have like more interaction. So what did I do there? What do you think I did there in those places that I went to? Any comment, guys? What did I do there? Like, ¿qué hice allá en dos places? ¿Qué hice en esos lugares? What did I do there in those places that I went to? Visit, yes, some of this I went to visit. For example, when I went to Washington, D.C., I went only to visit, not to work, not to live, only to visit. Mm-hmm. To work, yes. When I went to Washington State, I went to work. I went to work for the summer. I remember that I went to Washington from April to August, only for the summer, because in Washington it's very, very cold. Mm-hmm. Someone else? Any other comment? Visit, to work? What about vacations? Yeah, also vacations. I remember that I went a couple of times to have vacations in South Carolina. I went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, which is a very famous place in the East Coast of the United States. It's a very nice place, very beautiful. I went there a couple of times to have my vacations. Go sightseeing? Yes, very much. Especially in California. In California, I used to go sightseeing a lot. That's the place where I used to. Also in North Carolina. In North Carolina, I used to go sightseeing a lot, especially in Autun, because in Autun, North Carolina, it becomes very beautiful. It becomes very colorful because the trees and the landscapes become very colorful, very beautiful. I recommend you, if you ever go to North Carolina, I really recommend you to go in Autun. In Autun, North Carolina is very, very beautiful, especially the Appalachian Mountains. When you go to Appalachian Mountains, that's the best place to go. You can go to Appalachian Mountains in Autun or also in December. If you want to learn how to ski, that's the place to go. It's not as expensive as the state of Colorado. It's a little bit cheaper, so it's more accessible if you want to go to ski, because skiing is a very expensive sport. Not many people can do it. But in North Carolina, it's affordable. So you pay like $200 per session for 4 hours of skiing. All right. How long did I stay in those places? Because in many places I stood different times. Can you guess? Can you tell me like 1 year, 2 years? Now you know that I stood in US for 19 years, so I have the time to be in different places and like different periods of time. Can you guess? Months? Yes. For example, in Washington, I stood only 3 months. Someone else? Someone else like want to comment? Are there any more comments from Facebook, Oscar? 1 year? Yes.
Let me.
1 year, yeah. In Oregon, I only stood 1 year, only 1 year. I went only for 1 year because I wanted to know the state. So I stood there in Oregon for 1 year only. Okay. What do you think I left, guys? So now that I know that we are more aware of my situation in the US and the time that I lived there, and now that you know that I'm in Mexico, what do you think I left the US? Any guess? Because I miss maybe your family, maybe because you miss your family. Yes, pretty much so. That's because I miss my family a lot. But also the reason that I left the US, the most important reason that I left the US, life is different. Yes, definitely yes. Life is very, very different in the US. But the main reason was my age. I was 34 years old. I was still single. And that's one of the main reasons that I left the US. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to marry it. Honestly, that's what I wanted. But I didn't want to have a family in the US because of the cultural differences. Yes. So I wanted to come back to Mexico, and so love, yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I was lacking a love. Too much work, money, but no love. Yeah, definitely yes. Okay. Okay, returning to Mexico. Now that you got back to Mexico, when you return to Mexico after 19 years living in the US, do you think it's easy to have a life in Mexico, to review the life, or to because when you live for so long, I mean, when you come back to Mexico, the friends that you used to have when you were here, most of them that are around anymore. A lot of them have left. A lot of them had go to also to the United States. So when you come back to Mexico, there are no friends. There are people that there are new. There is a new. Actually, when I come back to my town, to my community, there was a new generation that didn't know me at all. Not even they didn't know who I was. So do you think it was easy to regain your life in Mexico, or was it difficult? Any comment? How do you think it is? You had to get used. It was difficult. Yeah. Yeah. Continue. Anyone else? Yes, it was very difficult. Actually, it was very difficult to have a life again in Mexico because I was 32 years old. And not only that, I mean, I hadn't been in Mexico for so many years, so I had to get accustomed. No, because you have nothing here. No, not really, because I still had my properties. The properties that I had when I left the US, I still have them, by the way. I still have my properties. So I still had my property. The problem is that nowadays it's very difficult to run your properties or to make them function again, because everybody knows that the situation in Guerrero is not very easy. For example, if you had a big property in Guerrero and you want to produce things again, now you need to pay. You know, there is a lot of problems. You know what's going on in Guerrero, so it's difficult to restart your business, especially if you are from the mountains. Yeah, but I still had my properties. Okay, so I had a new picture here. What do you think is going on here in this picture? This is a very recent picture. This is a 2019 picture. What do you think is going on in this picture? Can you tell me, guys? Can you comment what is going on here? Yes. Yes. You college. You got a degree. Yes. Receiving an English teacher diploma. Yes, that's what I got. I got my teacher's diploma. When I got back to Mexico, there is SAM. SAM is a company that produces books especially for schools and teachers, and they also give scholarships in case that you want to become a teacher of English, especially a teacher of English. But also they give scholarships for people that have lived in the US, people that have come back to Mexico and want to review their lives. So that's what they do. They give a scholarship. So I won a scholarship from SM, but also from ODA. ODA is an organization that helps people that have come back to Mexico after so many years. So they help them to review your life. So in case that you don't know, maybe you can look for them, ODA, you can use them for in Facebook. They are in Mexico City. They also have Pocha House. Pocha House is a house that helps people that come back to Mexico, that they people that want to review their lives in Mexico. And that's what is going here. So I got a scholarship from ODA and SM. So I have the chance to study for a year in the University of Dayton. And that's in this picture. We are receiving our diploma from the University of Dayton. Okay. So in case that you didn't know, what do they do? For example, what I was trying to answer, what do they do? Yeah, receiving a teaching diploma. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so what do they do? SM helps people, especially people that want to become teachers. That's what they do. They give a scholarship. They give 15 scholarships every year. They are unified with SM, also with University of Dayton. So in case that you know someone that has lived in the US and want to become a teacher, so you can look for them. You can look for SM, you can look for ODA, or you can reach for also for University of Dayton, so they can help you to get your diploma. How many students were there? Only those, or were there more groups? No, actually, it's only one group per year. Every year they get 15 scholarships. But as everybody knows, it's not easy to graduate, especially from University of Dayton, because University of Dayton is it's an Ivy League university, and the English programs that they had are very, very difficult, very tough programs. So 15 of us got a scholarship, but only 9 of us graduated at the end of the year. Yeah, because it was very tough. That's one of the, I think for me, one of the hardest programs that I ever taken. So it was very, very difficult to graduate. It is very difficult to graduate from University of Dayton, actually. Okay, so from here and from there, have you ever heard el chiste de la India María? Ni de aquí ni de allá. Have you ever heard that? Have you ever seen movies from La India María? Has any one of you guys ever seen a movie from La India María? Yes, no, okay. Someone else? Sorry, no, okay. Yes, yes, yeah, La India María used to have an expression that says ni de aquí ni de allá, which is an expression that we took it as a model, not exactly as it is, but as a model. For example, people from ODA, we say de aquí y de allá. We say the opposite, de aquí y de allá. And the reason that we say de aquí y de allá, because after living for so many years, you feel like you are from the US, but also you feel like you are from Mexico. So it's very difficult to dissociate all the years that you have lived in the US and now back in Mexico. Of course, you are Mexican. You are 100% Mexican because you were born here. But after living for so many years, Miranda Roscoe said from FPB, congratulations for your certification. Thank you so much. Thank you. So yeah, so when you live for so many years in the US, it's impossible not to be affected. Because you learn the culture, you learn the language, you learn the way of living, and when you come back to Mexico, you need to to readapt again to the way of living in Mexico, and eventually you miss, now that you are in Mexico. For example, now that I'm in Mexico, I also miss the US. When I am in the US, I miss Mexico. So now I miss 2 places at the same time, depending on where I am. So yeah. Thank you so much, Jose Humberto. Yeah, felicitación a la gente que se rodea. Thank you so much. So yes, so now let's continue. So when you want to change career, when you want to improve your life, you need inspiration. So what is the inspiration that you need, or what is inspiration that may help you to improve your life? Like, for example, to learn a language, like, for example, to improve your English, or maybe to have a degree. There are a lot of reasons that we use to continue advancing, to continue improving. So can you share us in the comment what is or where do you get inspiration from? Family, career, going abroad, knowing people, old dreams. Your family, okay? Or a will, because sometimes if you don't have family, will, for example, will, when you have a strong will, voluntad, your future, going abroad and knowing people, okay, yes, okay, thank you. Someone else? Okay. Well, in my case, is family. That's why will. Yeah, Rosa Mateo says will. Yeah, wills is when you sometimes you use family, maybe your career, maybe you are going abroad, knowing people. Sometimes it's will. Sometimes when you have a strong will, that's what it helps you future results. Yes, future results is also, yeah, because you want to have a better results in the future. Definitely yes. Yeah, but sometimes when you don't have a family, you also will. Will is something that is very important because when you have a strong will, that helps you to continue. All right. So let's continue. So in my case, I put a picture of my wife because she is my inspiration. Okay. For me, willingness, it can be a motor, like a voluntad. So I ask you to share your thoughts. So let's finish with this. So you are focused on learning a new language. You want to change, so also changing career. Sometimes people nowadays, it's very common to change careers. For example, if you started a career, but then later you realize that it's not what you wanted, you can also change careers. So so a lot of times, for example, someone that is studying engineering then wants to become a teacher, or someone that is studying to be a doctor then want to study something else, or want to be something else because you realize that's not exactly what you wanted. So there are a lot of times, there are a lot of reasons to continue advancing or to change career or going to another country. Or so now the final question is, what are you guys willing to do to make a change in your life or to improve your life? What are the things that you're willing to do? Because in reality is when we change, it's because we are willing to do something. It can be learning a language. It can be going. Emma says for FED says business position. Yeah, that's one of the reasons, because you want to have a better position in your job. And Patty said career and family. Yeah, we can also make combinations about career and family. In my case, it's a combination of the two. It's about my career, but it's also about my family, because I had a wife and I had 4 children. So I need to improve my career. I need to make more money because I need to support my family. So we can have one reason, or we can have a combination of reasons. Yes. All right. So that's it, guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me. This is my story. This is what I wanted to tell you. This is what I wanted to share you. So this speech was brought to you by Barbarian Language School, also for me. So as you can see, I'm Teodoro Catalan. I'm Teofo, teacher of English from the University of Dayton. So thanks for coming, guys. So if you had questions, you had any questions, so feel free to make questions. And yeah. Now, then Oscar, you can say when or how we finish this meeting.
Yeah, there's no problem. Yes, if you have questions, guys, there's no problem. You can ask anything you want. Teacher Teodoro is here. So let's check if we don't have questions here in the chat. Okay, maybe on Facebook. I'm not checking Facebook. Ceci is checking Facebook, but let's check if we have some questions here or some comments. For example, Patti Rosas, well, maybe you were talking about willingness, inspiration. So why family? Maybe why you consider that family was... okay, we have a question here. What would you recommend?
So what would you recommend if you want to live and work in the US? Yeah, my recommendation, because time changes, everything changes. For example, nowadays, if you want to go and live in the US, I recommend you to study English first. Because when I went to the US in 1999, it was not necessary to know English, but everything has changed. Now English is needed even in Mexico. Even in Mexico, you need English too. to advance your career. So if you want to go to work in the US, depending on the kind of job also, what kind of job do you want? You want to have a good job, I recommend you to take at least basic English, at least base, like 6 months or 1 year English. So, and that way you can go better prepared to live in the US. Because in my case, when I went to US, I didn't know a single word of English. So it was kind of difficult, especially when I went to North Carolina, because in North Carolina, when I went to live there, it was 1994, 1995. And when I got there were no Hispanics. So there was nobody to talk to in Spanish. So I have to improve my English. There was no choice for me. Okay. Any other question from Facebook or somewhere else?
Let's check. No, I don't think so. No, I think that's all, teacher.
Okay.
Well, sure. So, I don't know if you don't have questions, guys. Yeah, tell me. No, you don't have any other question, guys? No? What about you, teacher? Do you want to share anything else with us?
No, I think from me, that will be all.
Okay, that's good. Well, thank you so much for being here, guys. So now we're going to share with you some, wait a second. I'm gonna show you that we are going to send to teacher Professor Teodoro a recognition of this talk. But wait a second. I'll send to you on your email, teacher, an acknowledgement. So thank you so much for being here, guys. Thanks for listening to us. So if you don't have questions, that's all for tonight and today.
Emma asked us, what certification do you recommend?
Okay, what certification I recommend? But it depends on what do you want to do or what career, because there are different types of certifications. There are certifications for teachers, there are certifications for students, there are EAP certifications, like very specialized certification, for example, for business. You want to focus on business, I recommend you to study business English. So to get a certification, focus on business. There are certifications that are focused on general English. There are certifications that are focused like on when specifically for people who want to go abroad, to live abroad, and there are certifications for people who want to study in American or Canadian universities. So I recommend you to ask questions to the school. What exactly do you want? For business. Yeah, for business, you need to look for a course that is EAP. Those courses that are EAP, there's specialized certifications for English for very specific purposes. So that's what I recommend you to look for a course, and then go for a certification that it has a specific purposes. Because for business, it's considered as a very specific purpose. It's not general. And when you want to go, for example, or want to be admitted at university, so you need to go for academic English, not for general English. Usually you focus more on academic English. Any other questions? Okay, for work in the US, I recommend you to learn English for work, because there is also English for work. That's only focused it's focused on different skills depending also on what kind of work do you want to do. So, for example, you want to go to construction work. I mean, I recommend you to learn to take a course that is focused on construction. It depends on really what exactly do you want to do, or what are you planning to do when you get to the US. Any other? No? Okay, Oscar, I think that will be all for my part.
Yeah, there's no problem. Well, thank you so much, guys. Yeah, I will send to you, I told you, teacher, an acknowledgement on email. So, well, if you don't have questions now, thank you for being here. Thank you, teacher. And
Okay, thank you.
take care a lot.